Hi everyone, I'm Felice Angelini. Ciao a tutti, sono Felice Angelini. Welcome to another Italian whiteboard lesson. In this lesson, you learn how to make comparisons in Italian. Let's get started! When making comparisons, it's very important to keep in mind the gender of the nouns you are using. But don't be scared. We'll go through this step by step. We'll first see a very useful sentence pattern. Let's say you want to compare two places, for example, two cities. Here's how you do it. Place è più, adjective, di, place. In English, place is more, adjective, than, place. The key words in this pattern are è più, is more, and di, than. This pattern is very similar to the English one. The only difference is that you need to be aware of the gender. Let's look at some examples with city names. For the first example, let's use the cities Rome, Roma, and Florence, Firenze. We can compare how big they are by using the adjective grande, big. Roma è più grande di Firenze. Rome is bigger than Florence. Here we are lucky that big, grande, is the same for both masculine and feminine nouns, but that is not the case for all adjectives. Now, let's consider an adjective that changes depending on the gender. For example, freddo, cold. Let's continue using cities for our examples. It's useful to know that in Italian, all city names are feminine. So when talking about cities, we will need to use the feminine form of the adjectives. Thus, adjectives like freddo will be said as fredda. For example, take the sentence Bologna è più fredda di Napoli. Bologna is colder than Naples. Again, our pattern is place è più, adjective, di, place. In English, place is more, adjective, than place. Actually, as long as you remember to use the right gender for the adjective, you can apply this pattern to any situation. Noun è più, adjective, di, noun. In English, noun is more, adjective, than noun. Let's hear a dialogue between two friends. One is asking the other about his hometown. Let's focus on the response. È piccola Firenze? Firenze è più piccola di Roma. Well, let's see the dialogue with the English translation. È piccola Firenze? Is Florence small? Firenze è più piccola di Roma. Florence is smaller than Rome. So, in this answer, we can notice the key phrase è più di, is more than, and the adjective piccola, piccola, that is the feminine form of the adjective small. In this case, the feminine one, because we are talking about the city, and cities in Italian are always feminine. So, remember it. When comparing two cities, there are other adjectives you can use. Opla. We already saw piccola, which comes from piccolo and means small. Piccola. For example, Firenze è più piccola di Roma. Florence is smaller than Rome. We also saw grande, which doesn't change depending on the gender. Grande. For example, Milano è più grande di Firenze. Milano is bigger than Florence. Next, we have popolosa, which comes from popoloso and means densely populated. Popolosa. For example, Napoli è più popolosa di Firenze. Naples is more densely populated than Florence. We also have antica, which comes from antico and means ancient. Antica. For example, Roma è più antica di Milano. Rome is more ancient than Milano. As we have seen, we also have fredda, which comes from freddo and means cold. Fredda. For example, Milano è più fredda di Roma. Milano is colder than Rome. We can also use piovosa, which comes from piovoso and means rainy. Piovoso. For example, Bologna è più piovosa di Napoli. Bologna is rainier than Naples. Okay, let's go through the adjective one more time. Piccolo, piccola. Small. Grande, grande. Big. Popoloso, popolosa. Densely populated. Antico, antica. Ancient. Freddo, fredda. Cold. Piovoso, piovosa. Rainy. Do you remember how to say the masculine form of small? Piccolo, piccolo. And how to say the feminine form of small? Piccola, piccola. Do you remember how to say Florence? Firenze, Firenze. And how to say Rome? Roma, Roma. Do you remember how to say Florence is smaller than Rome? Firenze è più piccola di Roma. Firenze è più piccola di Roma. And how to say big? Grande, grande. Do you remember how to say the masculine form of populated? Popoloso, popoloso. And how to say the feminine form of populated? Popolosa, popolosa. Do you remember how to say the masculine form of ancient? Antico, antico. And how to say the feminine form of ancient? Antica, antica. Do you remember how to say the masculine form of cold? Freddo, freddo. And how to say the feminine form of cold? Fredda, fredda. Do you remember how to say the masculine form of rainy? Piovoso, piovoso. And how to say the feminine form of rainy? Piovosa, piovosa. Do you remember how to say Siena? Siena, Siena. And how to say Milan? Milano. Milano. Do you remember how to say Naples? Napoli. Napoli. And how to say Bologna? Bologna. Bologna. Well done! In this lesson you learned how to make comparisons in Italian. I'm Felice, I'll see you again on ItalianPod101.com. Thanks for watching, a presto!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.